YouTube world? My name is Nicholas Montez, and you're watching my YouTube channel, Nicholas Montez. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everybody. I'm so excited to have y'all back here together again. And in today's video, we're gonna be discussing all 9 Disney Plus shows. And if you really think about it, we're ranking all 9 Disney Plus MCU Disney Plus TV shows. And if you actually think about it, we're actually ranking all Phase 4 Disney Plus MCU shows, from Wandavision to She-Hulk Attorney at Law. Let's go ahead and get started. Now, this was a show that had a lot of potential to be a pretty good show. If it was just a show exploring like the origins of Loki and him as a child and kind of exploring all of that, and really just having a little bit of a story on Asgard, that would have been really cool. Instead, they decided to explore him, the Loki that escapes with the Tesseract in Endgame, and basically explore the Timekeepers and time travel and explore the multiverse, introduce different Loki variants, and I think all that's cool. Problem here is it just feels more like a multiverse setup show rather than an actual Loki story. Now, when it focuses on Loki, I think it's great, where we actually focus on what makes him tick, and really discovering why he does what he does, and that he doesn't actually like killing people. It's just he has to. And then even the Sylvie character I thought was really interesting as well, and even all the other Loki variants I thought were great. Owen Wilson as Mobius I thought was great as well. And then the fact that this show is kind of the one that set up the multiverse happening is kind of cool. The special effects are amazing, and I wish there were more action sequences. That's the weak thing. I wanted more action sequences in this show. And every episode just kind of felt like it was going in a different direction. And it just feels like, what exactly is going to happen in Season 2? I'm excited for Season 2, but at the same time, this is easily my least favorite Disney Plus show because it just feels more like a multiverse setup show rather than actually focusing on the character of Loki. So that's my thoughts on Loki once again. So it comes in last place. Now for me, this show was a bit weird at times. Now, of course, the best thing about this show is Oscar Isaac as Mark Spector, Stephen Grant, and Moon Knight and Mr. Knight. I thought he nailed all of those roles. He did it correctively, he did it great, and he handled it very well. And even exploring all those characters was great. So I thought the way he changed personalities from Stephen Grant to Mark Spector, one of the best performances in the MCU. I thought the supernatural stuff also really worked nicely. Nice change of pace for the MCU. Some of the action, I wish we could have had more of it, but the action was also pretty brutal and cool. The introduction to this Layla Scarlet Scarab character I thought was really cool, as she got wings towards the end of the series. Ethan Hawke as our villain in the show I thought was great. He had a great performance, and as he's kind of a different villain, he's kind of a different type of villain, as he's this villain that is kind of a doctor to our hero, where he actually wants to help him rather than actually try to kill him. And I think that's kind of an interesting way of doing things. Along those same lines, the show just kind of doesn't really know what it's trying to go for, where he's trying to do all this mythology while trying to bring in so much plot, and that really is kind of difficult in the third episode in the final episode. But overall, I thought this show was pretty good, but I don't think it was great. Now, this was a show that I was actually pretty excited for, but just a lot of stuff happened, and I just didn't like it that much. So, of course, Iman Vellani was amazing as Kamala Khan. She is great. Everything about her really just fit, and I think it's just because I like the kid superheroes. They just are a lot more relatable with the kid instincts, being in high school. All that stuff is great, and I guess because I watch a lot of Spider-Man, I can relate to it a lot. And so, with her being on this adventure and doing her power, I'm not the biggest fan of what they're doing with her and making her sort of like a mutant and just really wasting the whole Inhuman plot line that she is in the comics. Just kind of weird. But The whole story here just kind of falls flat at times, and overall the show is cool. The special effects are terrible. The characters are pretty good. It's pretty funny, but overall it's fine. Now this was a show that was so difficult to kind of get through, as I was thinking because it had 9 episodes, it was actually going to be a really good series to tell a great story throughout all of them, but it just didn't do that. Now, of course, like Moon Knight and Miss Marvel, Tatiana Maslany is great as Jennifer Walters, She-Hulk. She nailed it in this role. She was perfect to play it. And then even all the comedic stuff of it. The problem with this show is that it really doesn't know what it's trying to do. It's trying to be a sitcom, but then it's trying to continue the story of her character arc, and then it tries to introduce new characters with Daredevil, with bringing back Daredevil, which I thought was awesome. Trying to set a Planet Hulk film, trying to break the fourth wall, like doing all this stuff, and they're not really paying attention to the main story of the show. And most episodes try to pick what kind of stuff they want to do, and it just doesn't really work at times. So overall, the show was enjoyable enough, and it had some memorable moments, but I'm not sure if this is a show I'll rewatch all the time. Now this was a show that a lot of people seem to really dislike, and I just don't understand, you guys. This show is amazing. It's one of the best Disney Plus TV shows we've ever gotten. It basically explores the multiverse and exploring all these different timelines. The whole concept of the multiverse that was explored in Loki, it's now explored, and we get to see these different timelines with the Captain Carter episode, which of course was basic in what you would expect, but also did something kind of clever and new. The T'Challa Star-Lord episode, definitely something I wasn't expecting, but it also did stuff that I was also unexpected, and something I was so surprised by that it actually worked in a way. Episode 3 had an interesting concept, but the what-if concept did not work so well when you find it out. The Doctor Strange episode I kind of liked, but the thing is, why did we have to spend the whole season with this whole episode having Doctor Strange becoming evil and getting different powers? And then the zombie episode I thought was really well done, as it basically is like The Walking Dead in the MCU, which I thought was really cool. The Killmonger and Thor episodes, I just don't understand, because it really just does not make sense at all. The Ultron episode I thought was great, as it really just shows you what Ultron would have done if he actually took over Vision's body, and plus gained the Infinity Stones, and then started going through the multiverse. That would have been crazy. And I thought that was one of the best episodes. And then the third act, the final episode, where you get all of our main characters of this season teaming up to stop Ultron and to save the multiverse. All that was great. And really, this show just found a new way to explore new types of genres and all this different stuff and different way of telling stories. While it's returning to the MCU original world, it's finding a new way to tell a different story with it, and I thought that was great. I also really liked the animation style that they chose for it, where it felt like the MCU, but it also felt very comic booky, so that was cool too. My biggest problem with this show, though, is that some episodes don't work as others, and I wish that this show meant more for the rest of the multiverse MCU, and I hope that they actually dive more into that into season 2, and we actually get more expansion. And I'm hoping that we will see these characters in Avengers Secret Wars, because they have to. It's the multiverse saga. Every character has to appear in a Secret Wars. It has to. So for me, that's kind of my overall thoughts on What If Season 1. Now, this is another show that's just also very divisive, but I don't understand it, why everybody hates it so much. This is a good show. Obviously, it is generic Marvel, but come on. The best thing, of course, is an action, little comedy, but come on. What makes it great is what makes this great is that it's character studies of these characters. We got Sam Wilson and Bucky Barnes, the two sidekicks of Captain America, and you basically put them on the spotlight, and you get to explore their personal life, and it's awesome. As you get to see them struggles as they're both human beings, and both of them are different. Where Bucky is dealing with, coming back from fighting all these different wars, and he finally gets to be freed. Whereas Sam is dealing with his family back at home, but also becoming the next Captain America, which I thought was also really good. Also, the introduction to John Walker in this show was also great, where they kind of showed you what would happen if you actually gave that other guy the super soldier serum in the first Avenger, and they showed that very well, as he actually killed a guy with the Captain America shield. And then, of course, I think the best thing about this show was, of course, the action. Well, actually, no, hang on, let me talk about the action last. You also get the return of Sharon Carter back, which I liked the return that she kind of had a difficult past, which I would love to see how she became the Power Broker with a Disney Plus special presentation. I would just love to see that. And then I think that the best thing about this show was, of course, just doing all these different types of stories and incorporating with the action. The action is probably some of the best action we've seen since Winter Soldier. The music in here is great. A lot of stuff about this is great. And even seeing some of the Dora Milaje soldiers again are great too. My biggest problem with this show is that, and also Baron Zemo again is great too. My biggest problem with the show is that the Flag Smashers don't feel like an imminent threat. I like them in episode 4, but then after that, it just feels like I don't know, their plot just felt a little bit weird at times. But overall, I think the show did what it was going for. I also love the stuff they did with Isaiah Bradley and Elijah Bradley. Hopefully we get some Young Avengers stuff, and I'm excited to see all these characters in Captain America New World Order when they announced that film. So overall, I like this show, and I thought it did, while it is generic Marvel with the action and tone of it, it does it great with the character stuff that it's doing, so I love that. And that's something profound of what Marvel can do. Now, this was a show that, when I first heard about it, that it was like a sitcom, a 1950s sitcom with Wanda, with two of our favorite Avengers, where one is alive and then one is dead and died in Infinity War, and it's taking place after Endgame, but then you got other characters coming back in. Like, how is that all gonna play out? But then you watch the show, and it's simply amazing. First off, Paul Bettany and Elizabeth Olsen were born to play these characters. They had amazing performances as they were in this sitcom world. Each sitcom episode fit the tone of it. I thought it was great seeing it in here. And just seeing all this similar stuff to all these different sitcoms in like all these different decades was also really cool. But what made this show amazing was that you get some great character stuff from Elizabeth Olsen. Where this was like the first time I was like, I love this character. And like her story is just so emotional, where she's been through so much, and it's just so emotional in so many ways. And even Paul Bettany was also great. I thought Monica Rambeau was also great, and giving her a little superhero origin story. Seeing more of Jimmy Woo and Darcy, kind of teaming up all these different types of scientist type characters was pretty cool. In an interesting way in the MCU. The final episode can be a little bit, weird at times. But at the same time, it's still a fun little show. I personally loved it, and it was definitely a great experience. Ralph Boner stuff, not the best, but... And of course, Agatha Harkness was pretty good. Catherine Hahn played a great performance. But overall, this show is a great show. And it was a great experience, watching it week to week. Now, this is a show that, technically this is not really a series, this is more of a series of shorts, but I'm still going to include it because why not? And honestly, I loved this series of shorts. I think that each short did a different way of being just cute, of doing cute baby Groot things, and I think it worked for what it was going for. Each short was absolutely cute, and it was adorable. It was great seeing baby Groot again. Absolutely loved it. Can't wait for season 2. That's all I gotta say. Now, this is possibly one of my favorite Disney Plus shows of all time. I'm so glad that this show works because before the show came out, you honestly have to think about how much this show can set up. Like, how much? Because it diving into Hawkeye's history with Ronin, but also exploring more about him and the trick arrows, exploring more of the enemies he's made as Ronin, exploring Kingpin. All this stuff really is so cool to explore. But the big thing here is, of course, exploring Kate Bishop and Clint, the relationship they have, and becoming partners. You also have the Tracksuit Mafia, which aren't exactly as threats. Seeing them fight together, I thought the action was great. It being a street-level story was also great, and taking place in New York was also great, and having it during Christmas time was also great, and perfect for Christmas time. Rogers the Musical was also a nice little cool experience. Seeing Kingpin in the MCU again was also pretty cool, though. Even though, you know, the introduction to him was not the best one, it still was cool to see him and actually have Kate Bishop throw down on him. So I'm excited to see him in Echo and Daredevil Born Again. The action was great. Overall, the show was absolutely fantastic. I hope we get a season 2. I hope that maybe Spider-Man 4 and Daredevil Born Again will be something like this, except a lot more brutal and dangerous. I just can't wait. So that for me, this show should have been Falcon Winter Soldier should have been this, where it's awesome. You have going around the world, and you have great character arcs, except doing more and better things like that. Overall, I loved this show, and it's one of the best MCU Disney Plus projects we've ever gotten. So that's my ranking of all 9 Disney Plus shows. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. All my social media stuff is in the About section over there. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.